Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kat, and today I'm doing a little recap of the first third of the year. I have my notes right there, so sorry if I'm not looking directly at you. I've divided what I want to talk about in three main parts. The first one is all about books. So all the books I've read, the books I've acquired since the beginning of the year, all that good stuff. The second part will be about my low buy year more broadly, so beyond books, even though books is the main focus of my low buy. And then the third part will be about the parallel effort I'm doing to declutter my life and my possessions. Let's get started with the books. So the period I'm looking at is from January to April, so again the first third of the year. During those 4 months, I've acquired 9 books. 4 of them are ebooks that I got for free, including 2 from NetGalley. So I got 2 ARCs, which are advanced reader copies to review. And then I have 5 physical books. 3 of them were gifts from other people, and then 2 I purchased during 2 different trips. According to my low buy rules, it's okay for me to get a limited number of books or a set budget of books when I'm traveling. So I'm well within my allowance. This is the cookbook I mentioned that I got as a gift. It's all about kind of wine pot cooking for vegetarian and vegan meals. So I think this is gonna be quite handy. Then a friend of mine gave me this book, which has been on my TBR for quite a long while. I never pulled the trigger on buying this because it's really short. It's more of a novella, but it's quite expensive when I'm trying to get it in France where I live. I'm so grateful to this friend for gifting me this book. Next, this is also a gift. This is Lika Barn from Ildiko Fritz. She's a very good writer friend of mine, and this is her debut novel that came out in March. And so she gifted me her book. She even signed it. It's all in Swedish, so I don't think a lot of you will be able to read it, but I'm so excited to dive into it this month. And yeah, I'm so grateful that she gifted it to me. I had planned to buy it anyway because I want to support her, so I did buy a copy, but I gifted it to someone else. So gifts are allowed on my low buy rules, and also buying books from writer friends to support them is also allowed, so I'm all good. Next are the 2 books that I purchased for myself during the trip. So this is a book about the observatory in the mountains that I visited in February. I have a vlog that I did about this trip. It was absolutely fantastic, and so I got this book about the observatory and its history. And then the second one I purchased while I was in Sweden. This is a special edition of A Language of Dragons. This was on my TBR for Draconathon, and it was also the buddy read with J. Juniper and Soleil Celine during the month of April. Sadly, I didn't get to it in April, but I'm still intending to read this fairly soon. I think there might also be another Draconathon event in August, so maybe I'll keep it for that. In terms of the money I spent, for the 2 books I bought for myself, I spent just under 55 euros, and then if I account for my audiobook app, that was about 35 euros as well. So that would be 90 euros total for 4 months. So it's doing pretty good. I don't have the data from the previous year, but I was buying way too many books. So it's definitely a huge improvement. And then quite excitedly, I also did some declutter at my parents' house where I had a bunch of books there that I haven't been able to bring with me during my different moves. I managed to sell a bunch of those, and so from that I made 164 euros, which was very exciting because usually secondhand books don't sell for very much money, at least where I live. It means that I actually made more money selling books than I spent so far this year. So quite pleased with that. In terms of my collection and TBR, I have so far unhauled 75 books from my shelves, which is a lot. The biggest chunk of that comes from a big decluttering I did on my shelves when I was doing my tier ranking my TBR video. So I started the year with a collection of 572 books. I'm now currently at 532. The difference should be bigger because I've unhauled 75 books and only acquired 9. The reason the difference isn't bigger is because I'm decluttering the stuff I have left at my parents' house. It's still an ongoing process, but every time I've been going there, I've been bringing back a few books with me. And because they're already mine, I'm not adding them to the books I've acquired. In terms of my TBR, I started at 343 at the beginning of the year. I am now at 240, which is still much more than what I would like, but it's still a huge improvement. It's 103 books of a difference, which is a lot. The difference comes a lot from the books I've unhauled, from the books I've read also this year, and also in part due to reclassifying some books on my spreadsheet from when I did that tier ranking my TBR video. There were books that I had marked as to read and that I decided to put as like a different category. For example, like the cookbook I acquired is not something I'm going to read from page to page. It's more like a tool than really something I want to read. So I've changed the category for some of those books, which also explain the difference. In terms of the books I've read so far, I did finish 32 books and registered 3 DNFs. I think I DNF'd more than that, but I don't register all of them. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm very happy with that number. I'm almost at halfway through my goal for the year, which is about 70, which is usually how many books I read on average in a year. So in January, I read 7 books, February 4 books, that was a slower month. March was a very good reading month with 13 books, but a lot of those were graphic novels or comic books, so that was also like a faster pace reading. And then in April, I read 8 books. Of the 32 books I read and the 3 I DNF'd, 19 were in English, 13 were in French, 2 in Swedish and 1 in Spanish. So I'm also quite happy with the diversity of languages I've been reading in. And then in terms of my reading challenges for the year, I did participate in Draconathon in April and I managed a full blackboard, which I'm super happy about. I have a reading vlog about it that you can watch on my channel as well. I also put together a list of 25 books for 2025 that I want to get to. Of those, I finished 8 books, so I'm on track for the year. I'm also participating in Ellen's Diversity Book Bingo and I read 12 books already for that channel, so I'm way ahead. I'm super happy with this. And then the final challenge is the Reddit Fantasy Bingo, which started on the 1st of April and runs until the end of March next year. So it's still very early, but I've already have 5 books that I can count for this challenge. So I'm also ahead on this one. So looking pretty good on the reading challenges. Now looking at my low buy year a bit more broadly. As I mentioned, the biggest focus of my low buy year is about books because I feel that's the area where I was spending a lot of money but not necessarily either reading the books I was buying or enjoying them, and I was buying them but then unhauling them and giving them away because I didn't enjoy them. So I've been wanting to prioritize the books that are already on my shelves. As I mentioned in the book section, I have a big TBR already, so I don't need to be adding too many books to it. But I also want to be looking at other ways I can get to the books I'm excited about without spending too much money. Last year, I looked at how many books I purchased and I was a bit horrified or at least scared, and I didn't want to continue that trend. So I'm quite happy that I've been way more mindful about it and putting more thought into it. For example, when I've been selling those books from my parents' house, after that, I also went to the library part of the reseller. So they have a lot of secondhand books, but also new books. And it's a huge bookshop in the Paris area that I loved. I used to go there quite a bit. I used to work there also at some point, and I ended up spending a whole hour browsing books in that bookshop and not buying anything, which is a bit unheard of for me. So I was really surprised and proud of myself, and I've noticed a different pattern while I was in the bookshop. Well, before I would almost be trying to convince myself of why I should purchase X or Y book while in a bookshop. I noticed that day that I was having kind of the opposite mindset, and I was having an internal monologue of trying to convince myself why I didn't need to buy the book or not buy it, at least right now. And that's how I ended up not purchasing anything. So that was really, really good. And I've been trying to keep that mindset moving forward after that. And I've also requested for my library to purchase some books that I would like to read, but I'm not sure I want to commit to buying yet. And I already did that at the end of last year and didn't hear anything back for months and months and months. I think it's been like 6 months before I heard something back. Excitingly, they said they would purchase the books I asked for, but it's been 3 weeks already since their email and still the books are not on the catalog. So I don't know how long it's gonna take. Beyond books, I've been spending money in a few different areas. The first one was during that trip to the observatory in the mountains. As I mentioned, I got this book, which was allowed according to my rules, and I'm quite happy with. I also got a little snowball from the place, which I love. It was not really like a necessary purchase, but I've been wanting to get a snowball for a very long time, never took the plunge. And so when I saw this one, it was small, it was inexpensive. It felt like the good opportunity to get it. That being said, during that trip, I got a little bit too excited, I think, because it's been a lifelong dream to do that overnight trip to the observatory. And so I also got a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, and I love them, but I feel like it was probably an unnecessary purchase. I already got the book and the snowball. Like, I didn't need that many souvenirs from the place. And one of my low buy rules was that I would not purchase clothing impulsively. I would only buy replacements or things that I've identified as a true need beforehand. So I broke my rules there, and it's a bit of a shame, but it's okay. I'm not gonna guilt myself too much about it. And it's a good lesson. Like, nobody's perfect. I had a miss there and I haven't lapsed since. So I think it's still pretty good. And again, it's a good lesson to be able to reflect on. Next, I did order quite a few jigsaw puzzles this year. It's allowed on my buying list because doing jigsaw puzzles while listening to audiobooks is one of my favorite hobbies and one of the ways that I relax. So it's fine. Also, I'm using those jigsaw puzzles. I'm doing them and I'm really enjoying them. So I think it's worth the money. I've been trying to find people to swap the puzzles that I finished with because I don't like to redo them. So I felt it would be a good way to get new puzzles without spending money, and again, like having a circular economy, which feels like a good thing. Sadly, I haven't had any luck with that so far, so it's a bit sad that I can't find people to trade jigsaw puzzles with. But if I can't do it that way, then I will just try to resell them. I've been able to do that in the past, so I will try that avenue if it comes to it. Next, I did spend a little bit of money into office decor and furniture. I have my home office, which I absolutely love. It's finally finished, but it's also finished because I did spend that money and got the few items that I still needed. I got several lamps and lights because the ceiling lamp is quite aggressive. So I also wanted options to have a bit more of a cozy lighting in the room. I got a reading chair, which was probably the most expensive item on the list, but it was really needed because I had no place in my office to read, which was a bit sad and also like one of the reasons why I want to have this room. I did put a lot of thought into that purchase though, and I looked at a lot of models, and I did a purchase that was a compromise between what I wanted and the price, because the chair I would have wanted that ticked all my boxes was quite expensive, so it was not taking the price box. So again, I did get a chair that was a compromise between matching the looks and design I wanted and also matching the price I was willing to pay for it. Then I got some handles for my closet, and that was absolutely needed because otherwise it was a bit difficult to close and open the door, so I needed those handles. And then I got some frames for my gallery wall. I didn't have a rule forbidding me from getting like decor and furniture stuff. It was obviously not something I wanted to spend money without thinking, but for all those purchases, I did my research. I took the time to make sure that I was purchasing something that I really wanted and that was gonna enhance my office. And so I'm quite happy with, again, the purchases that I've made. And then in terms of miscellaneous stuff, I got a few gifts for people for different occasions, like my friend releasing her book, another friend getting her baby, all of that. So yeah, gifts are allowed on my low buy rules, and it's something that I love to do for people, being able to make them happy with gifts and show them that I care about them and that I'm here for them during important times, even though I'm not necessarily close by. So yeah, but I think that was money well spent. And then finally, travels has been the biggest expense category this year, but it's allowed as long as I do it mindfully, which I think I did. And travels is also one of the things that bring me the most joy. I love the novelty, kind of the disruption of my routines and being in a new place, hearing a new language. And I have those travels booked where I'm spending quality time with friends, with my family. So I definitely think it's worth it. Again, it needs to be a mindful expense, but I'm trying to be careful and not to overspend. So overall, again, I'm quite happy with how I've dealt with that so far this year. All right, and now the final part of this little check-in is about my efforts to declutter my possessions. I actually did a lot more than I thought in the first 3 months of the year, and then in April I kind of dropped the ball and haven't done anything. So doing this little recap and reflection is a very good way for me to get back on the bandwagon. So doing this little recap and reflection is a very good way for me to get back on track and pick up the efforts again. But yeah, so far I'm very happy with how much I've accomplished. So at the end of January, I started a decluttering challenge. And so I had this grid going from 1 to 30, and I had to declutter the numbers of item corresponding to those numbers. So usually you do it like the first day you declutter one thing, the second day you declutter 2 things, etc., until 30 days. I didn't want to make it that rigid, so I still wanted the overall goal of decluttering all those items. I think it adds up to 465, but I could do several in a day, skip a day, and do it in whichever order I wanted. So it took me a little bit over a month to finish it, but I did finish the challenge. So I decluttered 465 items, which I'm very happy with. Then another big ticket is that I decluttered my photos and videos on my phone. And there was almost 10 years worth of content in there. So it was a long process, but I used an app called Swipe Wipe, and it's the Tinder of decluttering your phone. Basically, it shows you your pictures and you can swipe one way to get rid of them or the other way to keep them. I've only used the free version, so it comes with a limit on how much you can do, and then you need to wait a few hours before you're able to do it again. But by doing it a little bit every day, I was able to go through all of my photos and videos and to get rid of almost half of them, I think. So it was really worth it. But again, as soon as I finished, I think at the end of February or beginning of March, I stopped doing it. So I need to keep that as a habit, because I think digital clutter is one of the things I struggle with most, because it's kind of invisible. As long as you have storage space, it's not really that much of a problem. But when you're looking for something specific and everything is a mess, it's kind of annoying, which is currently the state of my laptop. So yeah, very pleased I did all the photos and videos on my phone. Another thing I did was also declutter my podcast. So a while ago, I organized the different podcasts that I follow in different channels or categories according to themes. But because I work from home, I don't very often have a commute during which I listen to podcasts, and I've been prioritizing audiobooks. So when I open the app and you have thousands and thousands of episodes to listen to, it's kind of overwhelming, and I just tend to close the thing altogether and not listen to anything. So I spent a little bit of time first unsubscribing to a bunch of podcasts that I don't really listen to and looking at their backlist of episodes, judging whether there were enough content I was interested in to stay subscribed. So that reduced the noise quite a bit. And then looking at the few podcasts I had left, I went a bit obsessive and kind of marked all the ones I was not interested in as read already, so that they don't appear in my feed. So now the only one I haven't done is writing, because I kind of want to listen to all of them, but I think they are 1,500. So it's not realistic that I'm going to listen to all of them. But otherwise, all the other categories are much more pared down, and doing that actually triggered me listening to a bunch of podcasts in April, and it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I'm getting that input. It's kind of very stimulating for my brain, so it's actually been a very good thing. And yeah, now I have a much clearer podcast feed, and regularly I just go to the new releases and do the same thing of just decluttering the one I'm not interested in listening to, so that I have a clear list of what I want to get to at some point. Still in the digital realm, I also decluttered my book wish list. I had a list on Notion that was probably several hundred books long. And I've been using a little widget from Notion that kind of captures the information from a page and send it to a database on Notion. But the thing is, you need several clicks in order to get to the page you were trying to save with the book information, and probably the page for the seller. So I removed a bunch of those books that, again, realistically I will never get to, and kept the one that I'm most excited about, and kind of pared down the list quite a bit. And then I decided to move it to an Amazon wish list. We all have our thoughts about Amazon and don't necessarily want to support them, but it's still very practical, because my birthday is coming up this month in May, and so when people ask me what I want for my birthday, I can just send them the list, and then it's easy for everyone. But yeah, it's been really good to narrow down the list, and also I've been referring to it when I was in the bookshops. That was another way that I would stay kind of focused when in a bookshop, and make sure that I don't go crazy and break my low buy rules. I have this list of books I've set aside that I'm excited about, and so if I'm in a situation where I can get a book, I will try to prioritize the books on that list. And then the final thing I've done so far this year is decluttering the things I have left at my parents' house. It's still an ongoing process, but I've been doing good progress. It's been feeling really, really good, so I definitely want to, again, pick up things again and continue on that trend. So I think in terms of priorities, I would say my laptop files and old hard drive, all that kind of stuff, I need to do some decluttering and organizing. And then the final thing is my YouTube footage. It's so much to store and organize, and I don't think I have the best system, so I want to have a look at that. If you have advice, recommendation, tips, tricks, please leave them in the comments, because I really need them. And so that's all I wanted to cover for this first third of the year in terms of my reading, low buy year, and decluttering. Let me know in the comments as well how you've been doing. Are you doing a low buy as well? How is your reading going? What has been your favorite book that you've read so far this year? And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.